What if the air could catch on fire? That's the question that bolstered the creation of the world called Fire Season. Born on September 4th, 2020, Fire Season seeks to figure out how life could survive and thrive in an environment in which the air they breathe is liable to catch fire every summer. How exactly does this work, you may be asking? Well, that's what we'll tackle first. The key to all this, believe it or not, is microbes. In real life, there is a group of microbes that produce methane, called methanogens. There are a few of them on Earth, but there are a lot of them in this world. They're so abundant that the atmosphere reaches levels of up to 10% methane. These microbes feed on carbon dioxide and free hydrogen to make their methane, and the CO2 and methane switch places in the atmosphere. Oxygen sits around the same level it does on Earth, and the rest is nitrogen, plus some trace elements. So, how all this works is as follows. Over the winter, the methane produced from these microbes builds up in the atmosphere. Now, it's cold during the winter and relatively stormless, so not exactly an optimal environment for fire. But when it gets hot and summer arrives, the storms come too. At the first strike of lightning in a hot enough area, the methane ignites. The deflagration spreads throughout the air, in the lower altitudes at least, consuming all that built up methane from the winter. This is the Great Fire, the big one at the beginning of the summer, whose occurrence also marks the beginning of a new year for most cultures on the planet. It's not 100% periodic, so years tend to be slightly different lengths from each other. After the Great Fire, there are sporadic lesser fires through the summer, affecting only local areas, and there's a cooldown period between each one. Literally. Anyway, the Great Fire spreads, burning everything flammable, and eventually sputters out, leaving ash in the air and a shortage of methane and oxygen. I'll get back to that oxygen issue in a moment. The only places the fire didn't touch are the high altitudes, usually, and places where it just rained or was raining at the time. Thus, lots of religions around the world may have a benevolent deity they pray to every year to bring them rain, perhaps in a massive festival right before summer. Lots of possibilities. Anyway, the oxygen. When I was figuring out the science of a global fire every summer, I somehow managed to overlook the fact that oxygen is consumed by fire. Oxygen is replenished by plants in the ocean itself, but that's just not enough. Animals would need ample oxygen within minutes after the fire, or else they would all die. I did lots of research, but I just couldn't find a solid scientific solution for my dilemma, so I chalked it up to a deity managing the breathability of the air and left it at that. I didn't want to do that, but unless someone in the comments can give me a solution, I don't really know what else to do. Faced with such harsh conditions, life has found lots of ways to survive the yearly fires. Let's talk about plants first. They have two methods of survival, the malo method and the grow back method. The grow back method is exactly what it sounds like. They just let the fire burn them and then they grow back really fast, possibly even choking out the other plants. The malo method, on the other hand, involves the secretion of a protective fireproof substance that surrounds the plant, which the Taurinese call malo. Malo can be cultivated from plants, either with a rake-like tool that combs through tall grasses, or by breeding a kind of plant which stores malo in a sac inside it. Malo tends to dry after a while, so plants tend to more or less push it off themselves with tiny microscopic hairs. Humans like to use malo to coat things they don't want burning, like boats. As for animals, there are a few ways they hide from the fires. Bigger animals like to hide in caves, some even choosing to hibernate during the summer and hunt in the fall and winter, like bears, or bear-like animals at least. Medium-sized animals might roll around in mallow-covered plants and then either burrow, hide in a cave, or find a hollowed-out tree to camp out in, usually one with dried mallow on it. Smaller animals almost exclusively burrow into the ground to wait out the fire, which includes the primates humans would have evolved from. Some animals also adopted a semi-aquatic lifestyle, so they can take advantage of nearby rivers and lakes to wait out the fire. One last note about life. After each fire, there are often massive fungal blooms to take advantage of all the dead plant matter. I'm not entirely sure if mushrooms can catch fire, but yeah, fungus. Because humans evolved from burrowing primates instead of tree-swinging primates, there are a few marked differences between us and the fire people. For one, their fingers are up to 2 times longer than ours in relation to their hands. This is because of their burrowing ancestry. Also because of their burrowing ancestry, their feet are just a little more like hands than your average human on Earth. Aside from that, and the fact that their eyes would probably be a little better at seeing in the dark because of their underground tendencies for such a long time, they're pretty much the same as normal humans. As I work on them, there may be some more that separates the two, but for now this is about it. Now, let's move on to the other sapient species in this world, the Trellins. The Trellans are a species of white and green lizard-like creatures with 6 legs and a horn on top of their head, which they use to communicate. They are capable of language and civilization building, and some have even fought wars with humans to carve out little areas for themselves. There is one other thing they're capable of: photosynthesis. These guys are not technically animals. They actually evolved from plants that managed to stop living a sessile life somehow. I don't know, I just wanted moving things that could photosynthesize. So, they look like this drawing I made on the screen, with the green photosynthesizing part on the dorsal side and white scaly skin everywhere else. This lets them hide in the grass decently well, depending on how tall the grass is. Like the humans of this world, that's about all I have on them for now, other than a basic phonology for a possible Trellan language, which consists mostly of uvular and velar stop consonants with backgrounded vowels. Okay, so all that's cool, but what's the point of this new world? Well, I plan on writing a book set in it. This is the map, by the way. Without giving too much away, it will follow the teenage years of a boy named Kuni, full name Kunst, who lives in a colony of the Torinese Empire, equivalent to colonial America and Britain in the late 1700s. His father is a Torinese official who moved to the colonies to help the Empire keep an eye on them. Kuni's best friend is a half Torinese, half Danash boy named Tani, full name Itanst Zines. That's totally not hard to say. Tani's ethnicity is extremely important because this book, in its current form, will be playing on themes of the big R word and the dynamic between those in power and those who aren't. The book will span a few years, highlighting times when Kuni aligns himself with his father and when he picks his friends over his family, all as his age group is becoming more and more aware and active in the realm of adulting, like addressing the political and social issues of their day. Don't expect this one to be out anytime soon. I'm young and school keeps me busy enough as it is, but when the time comes, I'll be sure to let everyone know about it. Anyway, that's the world of fire season. Let me know what you think of it and comment any questions or suggestions you have. Like I said, school has been keeping me extremely occupied lately and left me with very little free time. So if there's an extra long pause between videos, that's why. I hate having to do that, but in the end, grades come before YouTube. Anyway, that's about it for this video. See you all in the next one, whenever that may be.